Destiny 2 Beyond Light presents a new threat to humanity: Eramis, a fallen leader who is building a darkness-wielding army. While Eramis may be the face of Beyond Light, the most intriguing story lies with the Exo Stranger and the history of the Brays. Welcome back, Guardians. This is Myelin Games with your lore update for Beyond Light. This article draws information from the Destiny 2 Beyond Light Collector's Edition lore book, the in-game lore book, The Dark Future, and will contain spoilers if you have not finished the main campaign and the Exo Stranger quest, Born in Darkness. As it stands, we still do not know how the new raid, Deep Stone Crypt, will be introduced, so it's time for a Bray family history lesson. This article will help you prepare for Deep Stone Crypt by solidifying the campaign lore from Beyond Light, and I'm going to cover Clovis Bray I, Deep Stone Crypt, the Exo Stranger, and Anna Bray. Clovis Bray I. This story starts with Clovis Bray. During the Golden Age, Clovis Bray had a fatal genetic disease that was slowly destroying his body. This was one of the reasons why Clovis wanted to create the Exos. Clovis wanted to transplant his mind into a robot body, allowing him to escape his genetic disease. Now, this does not sound very villainous, however, it was not the only reason for Clovis creating the Exos. Clovis did not want to just outlive his disease, he desired immortality and human evolution. Clovis Bray wanted to be the origin point of interstellar human civilization, what he refers to as the last universal common ancestor, Luca. Here is an excerpt from the Collector's Edition lore book that was released with Beyond Light. It reads, "The Luca is the most recent human ancestor of all living things. For Earth life, it is a single cell that lived in the deep ocean billions of years ago, flourishing in the warmth of magma or sulfur vents. It was not the first life on Earth, but it was the only life whose descendants survived to the present. All its contemporaries have been extinguished by the passage of epochs. I plan to be the Luca of all future human thought." For Clovis Bray to achieve his goal, he needs to solve multiple problems with transferring the human mind into a robot body. His first experiments were catastrophic. Take for example his son Clovis Bray II, who ripped himself apart after being transferred into an Exo. Through his sprawling research, Clovis comes into contact with what we believe to be a darkness artifact, which he refers to as clarity control. Clovis believes that the darkness artifact provides a solution to the human mind transfer. He needs to introduce Vex fluid and the darkness into Exos. Clovis creates a production facility for the Exos with these two components, Vex fluid and the darkness. The facility is known as Deep Stone Crypt. Deep Stone Crypt. The Deep Stone Crypt is the production facility of the Exos, which require a mixture of Vex fluid and the darkness for a successful mind transfer. To acquire a steady source of Vex fluid, Clovis Bray created a Vex portal, after stealing a Vex specimen from the researchers at Ishtar Collective. The Vex portal led to a star forge. Yes, the Vex were literally using a star to create their metal robot housing. We see Clovis Bray's portal in the new strike mission, The Glassway. Yep, on the other side of that portal is a Vex star forge. Now, if you've ever spoken to Ashamiya, you will likely know it's not a good idea to touch Vex fluid. It acts like a virus. Ashamiya had his arm transformed into a Vex limb from contact with the Vex. Of course, with Clovis's Vex fluid experimentation, the Vex infected his researchers and Clovis Bray himself. This is what starts the origin story of the Exo Stranger. Elizabeth Bray, Clovis Bray's granddaughter, reluctantly becomes an Exo so that she can fight off the Vex. The end of the Collector's Edition lore book describes Clovis Bray infected by the Vex and then transferring his mind into two places, an Exo and the Deep Stone Crypt facility itself. Like I said, Clovis needed two ingredients for the exomind transfer: Vex Fluid and Darkness. The source of the darkness for Deep Stone Crypt is less obvious. Clovis Bray only refers to it as clarity. However, in the Beyond Light campaign, the Exo Stranger makes it quite clear that the archives of Clovis Bray contain valuable information about the darkness, information that we need if we hope to master the new darkness subclass, Stasis. In the Born in Darkness quest, the Exo Stranger says this: she reveals herself to be Elizabeth Elsie Bray, granddaughter of Clovis Bray I. His experiments on Europa were filled with deceptions and secrets, the most important of which may have involved exos, darkness, and by association, stasis. Acquire his digital journal and you're bound to discover further truths about stasis, but the journal is currently locked. Throughout the Born in Darkness quest, we are trying to decrypt Clovis Bray's journal entries to better understand the darkness and therefore wield stasis with more efficiency. The Exo Stranger is helping us to gather this information because she has seen what happens when Guardians fail to wield the darkness. The Exo Stranger. Ever since the release of Warmind DLC, the community has suspected that the Exo Stranger was Elsie Bray, the granddaughter of Clovis Bray I. Beyond Light finally confirms this in the game, with the Exo Stranger confirming her Bray origins. The Exo Stranger is helping us to understand and wield the darkness by uncovering her grandfather's research at Deep Stone Crypt. It is at this point that the Exo Stranger reveals she's from a failed timeline, a timeline where Guardians tried to wield the darkness but failed. The new lore book, The Dark Future, details the Exo Stranger's failed timeline and reads like a lore nerd's wildest dream. Just to name a few events of the Exo's failed timeline: Eris Morn joins Savathûn, creating an army of Dark Guardians. The last city falls, the Traveler flees, and a slew of main characters are killed. The lore book ends with Anastasia Bray giving in to the darkness, joining Eris, and betraying her sister, the Exo Stranger. Well, this is not our timeline, right? Right? Anastasia Bray. The Exo Stranger has travelled to many timelines and relived the same experience. The darkness wins and her sister betrays her. But there is more to this story. Have a listen to what the Exo Stranger says in the Dark Future quest. We told her she was adopted. Anna. It was simpler than telling her about her father's infidelity, but it was more than that. Anna had some destructive tendencies as a child, reminded us all of the old man himself. Our mother thought if Anna believed she wasn't one of us, she'd dodge our grandfather's genetic cruelty, as she called it. I never bought it. Cruelty isn't genetic, it's learned. Clovis chose to be evil, and Anna was just a child acting out after losing her father. But in my original timeline, my dark future, Anna eventually found her own brand of cruelty, thanks to the darkness. It used her troubled past to manipulate her, and she wasn't strong enough to resist, and I had to put an end to it, to my little sister's life. There was no other choice. The Exo Stranger is forced to kill her sister in her failed timeline. The scary part is this: in our timeline, the Exo Stranger tries to apply a completely different strategy. Rather than avoiding the darkness, she is embracing the darkness and trying to help Guardians wield stasis. When the Exo Stranger reveals her plans to wield stasis to Anna Bray, it causes a fight, with Anna Bray storming off. It seems that the Exo Stranger cannot win. In her original timeline, she tried to keep Anna Bray from the darkness but failed. In this timeline, the Exo Stranger does the opposite, embraces the darkness, but still cannot repair her relationship with Anna. What is really scary is to the Exo Stranger, our timeline may just be another failed timeline, another timeline where the darkness wins. Have a listen to what the Exo Stranger says in the Born in Darkness quest. Perhaps I shouldn't have dropped so much on Anna at once. In my past attempts to befriend her across other timelines, I always tried to ease her into these revelations. She shifts uncomfortably, but we no longer have time for ease. I just hope that by creating a different world, one where the darkness can't get its filthy claws into our heads, that Anna will come round. And if she doesn't, then this whole thing may be a wash once again. So the question is, are we in another failed timeline? Is this whole thing a wash? As you can see, Deep Stone Crypt has many possible narrative arcs. Will we face an Exo Clovis Bray? Will we get the information needed to successfully wield the darkness and save our timeline? Will Anna Bray fall to the darkness? Will we resurrect Rasputin? Yeah, he's currently in an engram. Either way, I hope this summary of the Bray family will help with your journey into the Deep Stone Crypt come release day. As usual, it's been a pleasure. This is Myelin Games with your PC Gamer Lore update. You can find more Destiny lore over on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/c/Myelin Games. Peace.